I have 4 thrifted items that need makeovers, so that's what we're doing in today's video. And also, I'm using a paint sprayer for the first time, so that should be pretty interesting. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel, and welcome if you're new. My name's Melissa. Now let's go ahead and get into these thrift makeovers. I got this a while back and I couldn't wait to do a project with it, and so I'm gonna do it today. I thrifted this on a Wacky Wednesday, so I only paid $1 for it, but I am going to turn this into kind of a Victorian Bridgerton French country look. So anyway, the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to paint the easel, and I'm going to use the Waverly chalk paint. This is not wood, it's just a plastic. So I'm going to paint this in the Waverly chalk paint in the color plaster. And when I'm painting this, I'm kind of more stippling and dabbing the paint on there than actually using brush strokes. Just because it is plastic, I feel like the dabbing motion does a better job of covering the plastic and staying on there. Since this is plastic, I don't want the paint to chip off, and paint does chip off easily off plastic, so I am going to spray it a couple of coats of this Rust-Oleum matte clear enamel. Now I am going to keep this gold, but first I'm going to take care of what's going to go on the inside. So I need to take out this cardboard piece and the glass. Now I am going to use this cardboard piece for what I'm doing. So the first thing I need to do is paint it. I'm going to paint it with the plaster color. So I'm not going to worry about two coats. I'm just going to get this one coat on here. Now for what's going to go in the frame, I'm going to use this lovely material, and I've used this before on projects, but I just love it. I think it's so pretty. So what I have to do is I have to figure out where I'm going to use, or what part of the material I'm going to use, because the cardboard is definitely bigger than the frame. So I have to decide where the frame is going to be compared to the cardboard, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to kind of place the glass in the frame and then put the cardboard up against the frame just to see where I think it's going to look best. And then that's where I'm gonna place the material on the cardboard, if that makes sense. And then once I decide that that's what I want, then I'm gonna decoupage it down with Mod Podge. And I could have sworn I just bought a new Mod Podge, so I couldn't find it. So I'm having to use this one. This is the dishwasher safe Mod Podge, but it's gonna work fine. It's gonna do its job, so this is what I'm going to use today. But I'm going to just put the Mod Podge down onto the cardboard and then put the material down, make sure it's pressed down really good, and then put another coat of the Mod Podge on top. Once it's dry, then I'm going to go in with some scissors and cut around the edges as close as I can. Now I'm going to go ahead and work on the frame. Like I said, I just think it's a little too gold, so I'm going to go in with some Waverly Antique Wax, and I'm going to just brush it on. Hopefully this works. I'm just going to brush it on, getting especially into those details on the corners and then on the edges. And I kind of just keep going around with my brush and just using my brush to kind of spread out that antique wax until it almost kind of gives it a antique golden wooden look. I don't know if that makes sense, but it took away the shininess of that gold and it just gave it a very antiqued look. So I like the way that that looked. Then I'm going to go in with a baby wipe and just ever so lightly dab on any of the raised portion of the frame just to remove the antique wax from the raised portions. Next, I'm going to use what's left on my baby wipe to kind of age the easel a little bit. And then I also took whatever was left on the brush and I used it as well just to continue putting some age on the, especially in the little crevices of the easel, and that definitely put a lot more, but just to get some age on the easel. And then I used the baby wipe to kind of wipe that back and then spread it around. Now I want to highlight those corners with just a little bit of white wax. So I just ever so lightly just take the white wax and just slightly go over those high points of each corner. And then finally, I'm going to use some of the metallic luster in Gold Rush to go around some of the edges of the easel, and that will kind of tie in some of the gold in the frame. And this is how it turned out. I think it looks real sweet, and let me know what you think. I have one more like it and I need to figure out how to do it. So let me know what you think in the comments. All right, I want to refinish this stool, and it's a really cute stool, and normally I would probably say leave it the wood, but this marking on the top is just smeared. So since it's smeared, there's, I don't know, I just don't want to keep that. So I am going to refinish it, but I do want to crackle, and I've noticed that when I use shellac, I get a crackle finish. So I'm gonna take this outside and I'm gonna spray all over it with the Zinsser shellac. All right, now that it's sprayed and dried, there is a break in this leg, and I don't have any Bondo, so I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna use air dry clay. And so I'm gonna get some air dry clay, kind of mold it to this leg and sort of pre-shape it, put some wood glue on it, and let that set and dry. And then I'll sand it to the same shape, and hopefully that will hold and work so that this will match the rest of the legs. Okay, I changed my mind. I took all that off except for what's right here. But after thinking about it, I need to use wood filler because wood. But anyway, I do need to get some Bondo. I think that's what it's called. But anyway, I'm just gonna put some of this on here, and I'm gonna put it on here like in segments and then let that dry and then kind of build it up, if that makes sense. That way I'm not trying to put on a bunch at one time and then the inside might not be dry, and then I try to sand it and then it all breaks apart. So I'm just gonna start building it up and letting it dry and doing it that way. All right, I have my bench that's ready, and I'm gonna just paint it in a white color that we have used on some furniture in the past. And it's just a latex. And actually, we're going to use a paint sprayer for this one. Inokraft was kind enough to send me this Max Spray M1 Airless Paint Sprayer for me to try out and to give an honest review. It came with everything needed to get you started on your projects, whether it be large or small. You have everything you need at your fingertips. It was very simple to put together, and I'm actually going to have a couple of links in my description box that Inokraft has put together to give you a more in-depth tutorial on different aspects of use of the airless paint sprayer. Once I got everything put together, my husband and I prepped the paint sprayer for use. Now, I've never done this before, so there is a learning curve, but I will say that for my first time to ever use a paint sprayer, using it to paint this bench made it so much quicker. So it definitely makes painting a project so much quicker. Now, I know this is a small project, so I can only imagine how much quicker it's going to be when I do a larger project. And instead of having to use a paintbrush, I can use the paint sprayer and just finish it in no time flat. After I finished with 2 coats of paint, we did the paint sprayer cleanup and let the bench dry. I have to say I was very pleased with how this bench looks using this paint sprayer, and I will have a link to the paint sprayer in my description box, so check it out. I do want to put a transfer on the bench, so I'm using this MIDI transfer called Lovely Labels, and this is a redesign with Prima set. And I'm going to use this one here, pretty much everything except the word cheers. So I love this. To me is just a gorgeous set. You know, I love blue and white. So I cut off the word cheers, and then I placed everything on the bench the way I want them. And then I just start with the transfer stick. I start by lifting up, I put the transfer down and I kind of press down with my hand, and then I just start pressing and rubbing with that stick and lifting up with that transfer sheet. Once I have everything transferred down, and if I ever come to a part where it didn't transfer down, I just lay that transfer sheet back down, go back over it with that transfer stick. And every transfer set that you get comes with one of these sticks. But anyway, once I do finish transferring all that down, then I go over it with the vellum, with that clear sheet that comes on top. And honestly, I was thinking this one was going to be a little more tedious because of all the fine lines in it, but it really wasn't. This one went on really well. Now I need to seal all of this in, so I'm going to use the Rust-Oleum Matte Clear Enamel. I think this one turned out so pretty. Let me know what you think in the comments. And don't forget that I'm going to have a link to this paint sprayer in my description box. This is a candle holder that I thrifted from Salvation Army, and it comes in 2 parts. I'm not going to do anything with this, but I am going to paint this because I want to put a transfer around the edge. So I'm going to paint this in the Waverly in the color Plaster. I do give this 2 coats of paint, and I actually let this dry overnight. Now, because this wood is kind of a very porous wood, and I've tried to do transfers on this kind of wood before, and it's kind of iffy. So I am going to spray it with some matte clear enamel so that hopefully it will give me an easier time. For the sides of this, I am going to use some little remnants that I have, some small little pieces of the Fairy Tale Florals in the IOD. I only have a few pieces, larger pieces left of this one. So, but I do have several of these. So I'm just going to kind of play around with these and just place them and just fill up this hole around. And if I have to bring some around the top, I can, but I'm not too worried about the top because, you know, this does kind of sit on top of it like that. But I'm going to go ahead and put the transfers on to the base of this. And I don't know if it's because I let the paint cure overnight or dry overnight, or if it's because I sprayed it with the enamel, or if it's because it's IOD, or if it's a combination, but these went on very easily. And once I'm finished, I do have to take them outside and spray them one more time to seal in those transfers. And I'm pretty sure this is probably for a candle, but I just thought that it would be pretty with a little flower in it. So I put a flower on the inside, and I just think that this looks so pretty. Let me know what you think in the comments. I went ahead and taped around the edges. There was a little lip underneath the wood where I could just slide that tape underneath. So I just slid it underneath and just kind of went with my nail. So now I don't have to worry about getting that gold rub and buff on the wood. So yeah, so now I'm just gonna put that rub and buff on there. And I'm gonna start off with the antique gold, and then I have the Spanish copper that I may go in and just kind of play around with some shading. But those are the 2 colors that I have, so I'm just gonna play around with those. I'm going to use a piece of paper from this paper book from Hobby Lobby. And basically all I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut around the picture that was already there. And that's going to be it. I'm not even going to take the time to trace around it. I'm just going to cut around it, save myself some time. And that's going to be it, because it doesn't have to be perfect. And I'm just sitting here thinking of all the places you can use this. You can change out the pictures and use it in whatever room you're going to use it in a baby room, and you can store baby things in here. You can put it in an office, maybe put your calendar for the week, you know, a little small calendar. You can use it in a coffee bar, put a cute little coffee sign in the front. You can use it in your makeup room, your vanity. And this is how I think I'm going to use it. I'll just put some little boxwood sprigs in here, and I'm going to use it to hold little boxwood sprigs. Let me know what you think in the comments. Before we take one final look at our projects for today, I do want to share a Bible verse with you. And this Bible verse comes from Proverbs chapter 16, verse 21. And it says, "The wise in heart will be called understanding, and sweetness of speech increases persuasiveness." I hope this is a blessing to you today. And I hope that you all know what a blessing y'all are to me. I appreciate you so much. Those of you who continue to come and watch my channel, it really means so much to me. And those of you who are new, I appreciate you stopping by. I hope that you've enjoyed today's video. Let me know what you think of all the projects and tell me which one is your favorite. And if you do like this sort of content, if you like thrift makeovers and home decor and thrift hauls, then I would love it if you would consider being a part of my YouTube family. I'm getting so close to 10,000 subscribers. It's so exciting. So I would love for you to help me get there. Go ahead and click that subscribe button and click the bell button so that you're notified every time I upload a new video. And everybody give this video a thumbs up, because it does help me out with YouTube. And if you want to see more videos like this, then go ahead and check out the boxes that you see on the screen right now. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.